This is Brooke with Printerbot, printerbot.com, and I've got a Printerbot Plus here, and I've already taken the heated board off. And I want to show you what I think is one of the coolest upgrades we've got, and that is an upgrade to take the zip ties out of the Y bed. And so I'm going to tear this apart. I've already gone to the trouble of disconnecting the belt, removing the bed and the front Y bar ends, and so it's going to be really easy for me to slide this out. I've already loosened the ones in the back as well, so that I can lift this up and pull this straight out. The belt will come out, and the bars will come out, everything's out. So, now we've got just the base. Now I'll show you on this particular one, we've got a lot of mileage on this particular bot. And over time, these zip ties get a little bit loose. You can see I can move them here with my fingers, and I'm not happy with that. So we're going to dump these zip ties. And I'll tell you what I did here. Just as a quick hack, we shoved some filament in to create a little more tension on those, but that's just not good enough. And so what we're going to do is just cut out these zip ties. Take those out. I'll cut all these out. Now I've also gone ahead and loosened these wooden laser cut Z couplers so that I can get this off. I may not need to take it off, but I thought it'd be better if I at least I don't want to disconnect everything on the board, so I'm just going to prop this up. Okay. So here we have better access, cutting away these zip ties. Now your bearings, this would be a good time to replace your bearings, but you don't have to. My bearings are fine. They're a little dusty. You do want to keep these clean as you can. Occasionally I put a couple of drops of like Teflon. I use Teflon, what is it called? It's like a bike product. I used to use them on mountain bike. If you dab a little grease on the bar, or Teflon oil or whatever on the bar, and run it through, it'll keep those bearings nice and lubed up. But now would be a good time to replace them. I'm not going to for this video. You see how dusty this is? This is one that was on our bot farm. Now, so one cool thing about this upgrade is it comes in this pack, and we'll point the camera down. I'm going to cut this open. All of the parts are together. The laser cutter, we left a little gap so we can cut these open. Here's what comes in the pack. We've got 4 1-inch 632 screws, and we've got 4 25mm M3 and 2 M3 nuts. Now, why does that seem wrong? Well, here on the bot, on one side, we're going to create, I'll snap these off, we're going to create a sandwich. This piece is going to sandwich down and hold very tight and straight the bearing in here. I'll just score these while I'm talking. But on this side over here, we've got a motor, and the motor is going to be the receiving nut. It's a threaded hole for the M3 screws. So the motor, you don't need nuts on that side. We only have 2 little M3 for this side because there's no motor. Now, why do I put a receiver for a motor on each side? Because you may want to upgrade to a double wide or a triple wide and run 2 motors. And so I was kind of planning ahead. It annoys some people because it does lead to some confusion if you don't follow the instructions. But it also left me with some room some extra holes to do this upgrade. So you've got two, these are actually, oh, there's the train. You got two of these little spacers that are symmetrical and one that is not. So two of them are going to go here and here, these long ones, and the one that's the short one is going to go there. Now these are labeled left and right, and that's as you look at the front of the bot. So this one's going to go here, and this one's going to go here. And since this long side is going to come in contact, it's going to go together like this. The long side is going to come in contact with the bed here, or the top of the base. So if I didn't clean that little nub off, it's okay. It's the bottom that you want smooth. So that's going to go like that with this one here. All right. So we're going to sandwich, get that in there. Keeps falling out. We're going to put these in and just go for it. Now, we're going to use these two on the motor that currently hold the motor in. So the motor is also held in by these two, so I can take these out and not worry about the motor dropping, so I'll do that now. And then these two screws are going to be replaced with longer 1-inch screws. You won't even need the washer because we've made this design just a hole instead of a slot, so you don't even need the washer anymore. So to get ready for this upgrade, take those out. Take these out. Now if you're lucky, yeah, and I am, you didn't knock out the nuts that are in there, and those are kind of hard to reach. So if possible, try to do this without knocking those out. All right, now that tricky part. Get all these three in there. Okay, ran out of room on my camera. Okay, so anyway, we're back, and now that I've got these are ready to receive the screws, these are ready to receive the M3 screws. I'm ready to hold all these on, if I can. That's a trick there. Let's see if I can just do it. I'm trying to seat this. Goodness. Okay, good. There we go. Now, you'll notice that it doesn't fit down tight, and the reason is we're going to cinch these down with the screws themselves, and we want to give it a little room to breathe in case we want to adjust the four corners. And as we tighten it, it will seat down, and you'll even see that it'll kind of look like we're bending it a little bit, and that's okay. Alright, by the way, I've got the right side on the right side, and the arrow, just like the arrow on the base, top of the base, is pointed up. So, it's annoying. Might want to make those holes bigger so I don't have to. I'm really hoping it catches that nut. I'll know here in a second. Yep. Yeah, it did. I can feel the pull. All right, now the back. I checked those nuts before I threaded these down. There we go. Nice. Alright, so I may have to back those off a little bit to get the front. I just wanted to be sure that I did get the nut. Now that I know, I'll back those off a little bit so I can level this. What I'm doing is getting all the new screws seated in there, and I want this to be parallel to that. Yeah, I can feel that. It did indeed. Alright, now I'm getting some real tension there. And so now I'm going to this is really annoying. Okay. Now what I'm going to do before I get it too tight is I'm going to very gently thread this rod through, because I want these bearings to align perfectly. There we go. So I'm just kind of wiggling this around to make sure it's seated really nicely. And then I'll begin to slowly tighten all of these four corners equally. I want them all about equal tightness. Now if you were to look at it like this, you may see that some of the wood starts to warp a little bit under the pressure, so you don't want to overdo it. You want it tight. These little pieces will keep it from really bending too far. You know, our little spacers on the bottom, they're set for a good height, but your mileage may vary. You don't want to just tighten them down as tight as you can and hope that you know, those little spacers stop you from twisting. You could break this wood no problem by over tightening. So do not over tighten. Very snug, but don't get ridiculous. Success. And boy, the difference between that and zip ties is huge. Really, really like this. Okay, one side done. We're going to repeat that for this side. And I just had a thought. That'd be nice to just put these on ahead of time. Okay, and I'm going to pre-fit this because, you know, that might help actually. Okay, excellent. It's all going to go very nicely once I get these in. And you see how those go. Like so. It's kind of awkward. And again, it should go back and forth a little bit. We're going to cinch those down nice and tight. Now, on these, the first thing I'm going to do is get these. You know what I might do, just because I'm lazy? These holes were just a smidge too tight. I'm going to ream those out. Take two. All right, feeling good about that. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is, since remember those nuts are in that base, just kind of waiting for me to knock them out. So the first thing I'm going to do is get those to seat. You know, get them started, and that will also hold in this piece as I flip it over to hold the nuts on the M3 25 millimeters. All right. Did it catch the nut? Yes. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so these are going down through the what would have been the motor mount. And so I'm going to hold those, flip this whole thing over. Sure, this is all going to get in my way. And now the difficult part. I'll have to adjust the camera. Hold, give me a second. No, that's not bad. So under here, you've got just enough length on those 25 millimeters to get that nut started. It's close though. In fact, okay, I got the first one started. But as I tighten that, the other one seems to be a little further through. I think the bearing on this one, on this front one, hasn't. I see now that hasn't quite seated. Push that bearing back a little. There it goes. All right. That little M3 nut will spin if you don't hold it. So I'm going to get my needle nose pliers to hold it. And since this is awkward right now, I'm going to go ahead and tighten these down about as far as I'd want them. That's quite tight there, so that should do. And then I'll adjust the tightness on the other side to finish up. I'm looking to make sure I'm not warping the wood much as I tighten. Looks pretty straight. It's funny, when you go back and forth on these, you'll get one tight down where it's like, wow, that's really tight. And then you'll go to the other side to check the tightness, and it's like, wait, did that get loose? So just check them, double check them both before you flip the bot over. Okay, those are good. And now I'll finish off. You can see that it's not quite parallel yet. So I'll cinch that down good and tight. Feeling really good about that. And that's butter. So we have eliminated the zip ties on the Y bed, or the bed, the print bed there. So very happy. I'm going to go ahead and finish that up and then show you how tight everything is. So I've got the PrinterBot Plus all put back together with all the upgrades that we did. And the one that we were just talking about was the zip tie replacement here for the print bed stabilizer. And that's a kit. And we got that all installed. And man, is it rigid. I mean, it is so rigid. I just wanted to demonstrate how rigid. That's fully extended. And you can push it down, but it's moving. I don't know if you can see, it's moving the whole bot. It is just so much more solid. Anyway, I feel really good about it. So that is our upgrade for the heated bed here on top. The upgrade for the belt tensioner here. The Y-bar end upgrades, the Z couplers, and it looks really good. So until next time, happy printing.